that's all contributing. What's your take on that, Ben?
Oh, look, that's certainly an issue, because what's happening is there is slow siltation taking place, and I think that the council has recognised that. In the work they've been doing, they've been looking at source control and redesigning, particularly the stormwater drains in. I mean, I've only covered certain areas here, but I've obviously looked at much wider issues. And the stormwater drains slowly bring sediment in. The seagrasses grow up through that. They stabilise it, but progressively the whole lake system gets shallower. And one of the problems with the warm water, of course, was that it brought on the seagrass growth. And what happens is whenever we get strong winds, you get wind wave action, and the wind wave action breaks quite a lot of the leaves off the seagrasses, and it gets blown down and ends up on the shore as what is termed wrack, but it's a very smelly product. And that's the shallower the lagoon gets, the more that'll happen. And of course, that's the other funny thing, is that if you actually improve the entrance and you get a bigger tide, not only is the high tide higher, but the low tide is lower. So, because you've now just changed the entire tidal range, if you do that, you're going to have more seagrasses, for example, exposed, you're going to have more mudflats exposed. That's one of the wicked problems about managing this entrance, and one of the reasons people have to understand the complexities of that work.
Thank you very much, Angus, for that. And Angus is available for further questions after you've read the report. You mentioned locals have views. I've been exposed to those through the social media. I didn't realise we had so many experts living around the lake. And that's one of the reasons why I thought, well, let's get a real expert in and ask those hard questions. The key findings for me are really important. And I summarise them as the council staff know what they're doing, a high level of expertise with a long-term understanding of the issues. The key policy work is well advanced to get more information, pulling together those 23 reports, and that will be available by the end of this month, and that will set the council up well in the future. In terms of the recent flood event, there's nothing more that council could have done in the lead up to the rainfall. Certain keyboard warriors described council machinery sitting by the edge, scraping around the edges, as if that was tokenistic. In fact, they were straightening the channel, and Mr Gordon's report confirms that was fundamental in getting the water flowing faster, and was all that could be done, but it did make a difference. So thank you again for your quick response to my call for assistance, and I think it's one of the 24th report, one might call it, in a long-term evaluation, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one question, please, Dick? I guess, so in saying that with the report, I guess I interviewed the Mayor after the floods last year, and the big thing that she said was that there was room improvement, and that was the communication between what council were doing and to the community, which seemed to be what happened this time around with the floods. The communication was a lot better. I guess, do you find that's the difference between the two? It was council's, I guess, voice in the community.
I got a lot of online credit for the difference in communication. It had nothing to do with me. Mr Cox, his team, the council's communication staff had that in training quite apart from me. I'm happy to give them the acknowledgement of that, and it was a lot better. And that included real-time information. You can go online, and there's actually that you can see, excuse me, a diagram, a computer diagram of where the water level is going to get to around the lake, which I think is amazing. It's real time. We know this much rainfall's come, this is what it's going to mean for you. It might be 1 or 2 days, but that's what it's going to mean. So yeah, the communication was much better, and they did allow those many people who had stored stuff below the house, below the flood level, to move it up. And I think we had a lot better outcome this time, and that will continue to be better. I do make the point that it's been on people's 149 certificate when they buy a house since 1994 at least, and some going back to 86, that this is flood-prone land. I've asked for information about what percentage of houses have traded in that time. I suspect it's quite a high proportion, and I have empathy with the people who are frustrated by the floods, but still, it was a problem they knew about. One of the keyboard warriors claimed very strongly that there should never be a flood. If council was doing its job, there would never be a flood. Well, I think what Mr Gordon has confirmed, that's the Amsterdam Netherlands solution, which is just ridiculous, both in terms of expense and environmental damage. Real expertise is always worth listening to, whether it's climate change, or this issue, and the issue that has been not highlighted in this report, that climate change will make this worse. You'll have more extreme weather events, you'll have more coastal surging, you'll have possible sea level rise up to 1/2 metre. So it's not going to get better. There's no way it can be made so that there's no more floods around Toowoomba Lake. There will always be a degree of flooding, and all we can do is try and manage it better between the council and the community and possibly the state government with assistance for some timely dredging. But you can't have a deep channel without having tidal floods and mud flats at low tide, and I don't think many people want that either.
But council's management of how they will won't come until the Manly hydraulic studies are done.
That will inform the council and they will refine their policies as appropriate.
When are those studies due? What's the
End of
time
the
frame
month.
on those? End of the month?
It's very close. Very close.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay,